Now let's talk about user enumeration. Here are the questions I think are pretty important. You want to know where your current user or trust relationship that you've set up is an administrator, okay? That's something important to know. You also want to know which accounts are the domain administrators. Finally, for systems that you want to target, you want to know who are the local administrators on those systems, because you may be able to get a hold of a trust that lets you impersonate that user to that system and get access to it. Okay? So these three questions are the point of these user enumeration steps. First, let's talk about administrator accounts. Administrator trusts, whether it's a local administrator for one system or a domain administrator for all of them. These trust relationships allow us to do things to systems. We can interact with administrator-only shares, we can schedule processes, we can do a lot of really, really cool stuff. In a Windows command shell or in Beacon, if you want to find out if you're an admin, one way to do it is to try to list an admin-only share. Just do a dir, like shell dir, // host, $C$. If you get a directory listing, you're probably a local admin as far as that system is concerned. You can also do something like using @ to dump a list of jobs on a system. If you get back access denied, probably not a local admin. If you get back a list of jobs, you're probably a local admin. Okay? PowerView has some really nice automation to help out with this question. You can do PowerShell, invoke find local admin access after you import PowerView, and PowerView will sweep the network and try to hit, I think it's the pipe for the service control manager, and if it can open that, it will come back and say, hey, you're a local admin as far as that system is concerned. And that's a trust relationship we can act on. Okay, let's do a little bit of trust enumeration and figure out where the current user might be a local admin. So first, the way I check if I'm an admin somewhere, I just do a dir // target $C$. If I get an access denied, no joy. Okay? So let's try the same thing with file server. And you'll see I get a listing. That means, according to the file server, the user J. Smith, the domain user J. Smith, must be a local administrator. So you can go through your different options by hand and see where you might be an admin. Another option is to use PowerView and do invoke find local admin access to get a little bit of automation to help you out. And there we go. PowerView is telling us the same thing we already knew, and that is we are a local admin on file server. Okay, let's go on with our other questions. Let's say we want to figure out who the domain administrators are. Well, you can use the native Windows commands in a shell, net group enterprise admins, whack domain, net group domain admins, whack domain, to find out who are the members of these domain groups, or you can do net local group administrators, whack domain, to see who is an administrator on the domain controller. Okay? Beacon's net module can help with this as well. Just do net group // target. By target, I mean one of the domain controllers, and do whatever group name you want to look at. So enterprise admins, domain admin, domain admins, so on and so forth. You can also do net local group, a target, and a group name. And this could actually be any target to get a list of who's in the... Now, let's go ahead and just do some account reconnaissance and do what I was talking about before, which is checking who might be a domain admin. We can do that with net group, enterprise admins, whack domain, and we can see the user administrator. Try the same thing in the domain admins group, and we can do net local group administrators on the domain controller. And we see that the user lab on that system must be a domain admin as well. And of course, the user administrator. Local administrators may be a domain account, okay? That's really important to know. So if you want to attack a system, you should find out who are the local administrators for that system, because if you can get a hold of password hashes for them, get a hold of credentials or a token, you can impersonate that user and leverage that trust to interact with that remote system. So Beacon's net module can query local groups and users on a system from an unprivileged context. Just do net local group // target in a Beacon console, and you'll get a list of groups on the target. Now, if you want to get a list of members of the group, just do net local group // target, the group name, to get a list of members of that group. These commands were inspired by PowerView because Will Schrader is the one who informed me that it was possible to query local groups from an unprivileged context. And PowerView does it really, really well. You can do PowerView do get net local group -hostname the target to query the local administrators on the host. And this command will actually recursively go through the administrators group, find all the subgroups, and report the members to you. And you can use PowerView to find the same information on every host. You can do invoke, enumerate local admins. Just remember to prefix those two commands with the PowerShell command. And I mentioned you can use the net module in Beacon to query local groups and users on a system. So let's say the file server is our target. And big surprise, we already know we are a local admin on the file server. But here's how I'd query the groups on the file server. I would just do net local group file server from Beacon. And we get back a list of groups, okay? And I could do net local group administrators to see who is in the administrators group on the file server. And this action does not require any type of special privilege. And we can see that the lab and administrator users are local admins on the file server. Anybody in the domain admins group is a local admin, plus all these different domain users. Pretty cool. So that's the net module way of querying who might be a local admin. Let's try it the PowerView way. So let's do PowerView get net local group -hostname, and we'll do on the file server. And there we go. Now we have some information, quite a bit, about each administrator user on the file server. Again, the really neat thing about PowerView is the PowerView way will recursively go through all the different groups and find information about which users are in each group, so you have a full picture without a lot of legwork. Okay, let's say we found a system that trusts us as a local administrator. Cool. What kind of stuff can we do to that system? Well, we can interact with admin-only shares to interrogate the system. So for example, if I do a dir // host $C$, which is a share for C:/, I can see what's on their C drive, okay? And if I want to, I can copy a file back over a UNC path as well, okay? Just do copy, // that host, $C$, foo, whatever file, and bring it to the current system I'm on. I can also build up a shopping list of files on that remote host by doing what's called a dir walk. I just do dir /s/b, // host, $C$, put that information to a local file, pull it down, and go shopping. Here's something else that's pretty cool. You can use WinRM, which runs on port 5985, to run commands with PowerShell. WinRM is the Windows Remote Management Service. It is not on by default, but many organizations that have embraced PowerShell do turn it on key servers to make remote administration much, much easier. To use WinRM to run a command on a target, just do PowerShell in beacon, invoke command, computer name, put in the target, dash script block, and then inside of curly braces, whatever you want it to run. And what will happen is this will task that system via WinRM to run that command, and it will report the output back to you. So you can use PowerShell and invoke command as a remote access tool to control a system without putting any malware on it whatsoever. It goes further though. You can use PowerSploit to run Mimikatz over WinRM. Just do PowerShell import path2 invoke mimikatz.ps1 from PowerSploit, and then just do PowerShell invoke Mimikatz dash computer name and put in the target. Okay, let's demonstrate some of the capability to interrogate a target without using malware. We already know that we can list the C drive on the file server. Well, we can also do things like do a dir walk if we want. Let's do a dir walk on // file server, $users, to get a list of the files in the different user folders. Okay, so there might be something useful for us to go through there. So that's pretty cool. And of course, we could copy files over and exfil them without ever actually putting malware on that box. But a few moments ago, I also mentioned you could use WinRM with PowerShell's invoke command commandlet to run commands on a target and get output back. Let's try that. Let's do PowerShell invoke command, and we'll do computer name, file server, script block, and whatever we want to run within these squiggly brackets. So there's a dir on C:/. Okay. If I want to, I can do net local group administrators. And there's our output for that. Same thing we were able to pull with PowerView and with the net module and beacon. Okay. So the main lesson here is that with WinRM, we can run whatever command we want on the target and get output back. Pretty cool. But now let's take a look at using PowerSploit to run Mimikatz on that server. So let's do PowerShell import, and let's do PowerSploit exfiltration invoke, not that one, invoke Mimikatz.ps1. Let's do PowerShell invoke Mimikatz dash computer name, the file server. And this option will by default run logon passwords on the file server. So now we can go through the output and see if there are any creds of interest, such as maybe the password of a domain administrator account. So that's an example of using PowerSploit to run Mimikatz on a remote system without putting malware on it.